Hello and welcome. For those watching this video, probably for the first time, and found this video via sports cards in some whatever form, this is the type of stuff that I like to do. Look at markets, and right now I'm betting for this to go down. If the price goes up to this arrow, I lose. Now, if the price goes lower than this, the arrow gets reduced to about 1582, 83. And if it goes down enough, well, you know what, I'll probably take some profits. But that's the type of stuff that I do. I like to do things like trade Litecoin with Ripple. And for those viewers on my subscriber list, I will be talking about an investment idea that I really, really like. Now, normally I don't go ahead and really write small, short stories, or I don't know if you want to call it a story, via the comments section. So if I was going to do that, I should do a video at least to just explain to my subscribers and everyone else why I think this is an interesting investment. And the investment is in cards. And I'm not talking about cards that are rated from PSA. And I'm not even talking about these complete sets because I don't want anything to do with those. But I am talking about, regardless of low stakes or high stakes, these cards. And these would be higher stake ones. As in buying individual packs, but mainly if you can get these boxes like this. And this is from the Baseball Card Exchange. And the video in which I commented is, I find this very interesting, and I'm going to get into in a little while. I'll tell you why I think this is amazing and the reasons why. So here we have a gentleman named Eric Jabs, a little younger than me, not much, which is interesting because of the age, and I'm going to get to that, as we're going to be talking about people born in the 1970s and maybe even in the early 80s as well. Yeah, definitely early 80s. And he's got a video. He's opening up cards. 28-minute video. He's opening up 1985 Fleer baseball. I think this is good. I mean, I want to buy this boxes like this, and just hold them. Maybe open one or two of them, but collect. I don't know. I might want to buy like dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of these. Assorted different sports and whatever I can get, and whatever best prices I can get. After all, it's be like going to flea markets and just trying to find the best price and ones that have good investment value. His videos, he's got 43,000 subscribers. He definitely has a lot of viewers, which means people are watching this. And the fact that he's actually making videos like this, and it's not just that he's buying it, but that people watching this like, oh, I want to buy a case, and they go to Baseball Card Exchange and, well, they buy some. Or they go to flea markets. They go to wherever card places, wherever these are available in supply. It's all about supply and demand. Well, they're buying these, and they this is a finite amount that can never increase anymore. Stuff like gold and silver, you mine more, and there's so many real assets, real products that can continuously go up, or can create more of them. And then there's some you can't. This is, of course, these are ones you cannot create more of. So yes, so this also means other people will be doing videos like this, and this reminds me of something that I've seen before. Oh, this guy's one of my favorites. His name is James Rolfe. He's the angry video game nerd. A bunch of you probably already know who this guy is. Very. Let me just. I'm gonna pause the tape, and I'm gonna put a new image. Before I'll go like this, I just want to center it so that it looks good for the screen. I just didn't want to show that image, pause the tape, show it again, it would look a little weird. So here it is better. And this is, I think, about 12 years ago, maybe. And he was really young here, too. I did a search just to show when he was younger. He's a lot older now. And he's gotten really big. He started off just. And he's living his passion. And he's a really fun guy. And his movie's awesome, by the way, too, that he did. But I'm talking about market supply and demand, and well, we're talking about video games here and all the accessories that go with it. Well, guess what happened? The prices. What happened in 2008, 2009, 2010, 11? The market just exploded. I mean, there was a big bull market in video game accessories, and able to buy and sell at those, there was profits to be had. Now prices are changing, and in this one, okay, yeah, the real copies of this, they will have unique value. But when we talk about the fact of nostalgia, we've created more because there are things like systems that they make that can replay these games over. And with backwards compatibility, it's just so easy these days. You can put the entire like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo system on like one small device and play all the games. That's how technology is today, and get the best quality version of the graphics and sound that you can with what technology is, and well, right now 2019, and in the future 2030 and 2040, and so on. And there's emulators, so you can kind of create it because so you got the nostalgia just to want to play. That's all you want to do is just want to play the games. You remember doing so back in 1989 and 1992 and whatever 1997 at the PlayStation, so on and so forth. But back to the sports cards side of you. You cannot remake these again. And if people, when they get older, whether they're 40 years old, which is 40, 50 years, in their 40s, between 40 and 50 today, or 60, 70. Well, of course, if you're 60 or 70, you would have the older cards. But in 20 years from now, 25 years from now, well, if you were born in 1975 and 20 years from now, you'll be in the retirement 65 age. And then when you start, and I don't know what this is like with humans, but I'm trying to build a amazing 1980s room, a childhood room from when I was 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. And I need all the components that go with it. And part of that would just be reliving the exposure and having sometimes just reopening packs. And yeah, you might get bored of it for a while, but that might be after you open 20, 50, 100, or 500 packs, or however many it might be. Back in the future, of course, is what I'm saying. So when these supplies start to go down, and they seem to be, a lot of them can be really cheap as well. I'm looking at the prices and I'm thinking, man, it's not that expensive for me to even just want to open up a box of cards that are technically cheaper than what I remember selling them at. And I did sell cards at one point for about close 16 to 20 weeks. And I was doing so near the end of the bubble, and I could actually kind of tell that it was going on, which means I bailed out before at a good time. Let's put it that way. I would have probably lost had I, because I was looking at the numbers, and back then I was a junior in high school. I was able to, well, I was good at being able to crunch numbers back then, as I am today. So I realized, okay, now it's probably a time to just pack up. I missed out on some great opportunities. I remember getting an opportunity to buy a whole bunch of 1970s hockey cards and early 80s. I think a whole box, and a lot of them I think were in pretty good condition too. And there might have been several hundred of them. I think it was like 100 or 150 bucks back then. I should have bought it, but see, back in 1985 and all that stuff, or whatever year it was, there was really no market for it. There's like, uh, not, you, I mean, you buy packs, and I mean, you didn't really look at them as any value. You were just like, oh, cool to play with, and you could have fun with them in different ways, and it did mean ruining the cards in many situations. Thus, that's why the cards made pre 1986, 85 in amazing condition have more value, even the ones in the late 80s. But as the end of the 80s came into play, I noticed a boom that lasted throughout the well, into the all the early 90s of card stores. 88, 89 it might have started. And they were just popping up everywhere. There was, you couldn't go to a town without finding it. Just drive downtown in any town, you found one or two or three. It was just that crazy. But Think of all the kids that were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, 18 years old living in that time. And they would have had memories of going to those stores. And even myself going to convenience stores and paying like 35 cents a pack. And you can see in here, this was 15 cents way back when. That's what, there's only so many of these available. So these would be like a high end grade to hold because the value of these, I gotta think, can only sustain itself in this feature for that decent amount of time. And then post that, they just become even older and older and just major antique items after that. So I gotta think it would even preserve there after that. But for myself, I'll be 65 at that point anyway, so I mean, I won't care much after that anyway. But it'd be an interesting, and as far as like I'm stating myself, if I'm going to build a nostalgia room, I'm probably just going to have storage of a bunch of these as well as a part of your diversification of different assets, something that you could be buying right now for maybe, well, if it's maybe you're paying $5 a box for like some of these cards, or $10. They might go for $10, $20 a pack, or value-wise. I don't think dollars. I mean, dollars should not exist in 20 years from now. I don't think anyway. It could, but I mean, times change so much, and that's exactly the whole point: is trying to predict how the changes are going to come into play. And this one doesn't seem that difficult, based on the reasons and what I've stated. And I think that one of the better ways of looking at it is finding a ratio of this against something you know will definitely be around in that time, and try to find something that doesn't have its early move. For example, look at the price of televisions when they came out compared to today. Let the market live. The price of oil and gasoline. I mean, price of gasoline back in the early days, it was really expensive, inflation adjusted compared to today. A lot of it's because it's new. And when you take simple things like salt, bread, and of course food items and clothes, house. House is one of the best ones. Average wages, how many hours of work, just things like that. When you think something like, well, say you buy a box for like an hour's salary. In 20 years from now, that box might be worth a month's salary. That's the type of gains that could be possible if what I'm thinking really does happen. And as we enter into the 30s and beyond, like the 30s is the big one I would think, in the 40s and early 40s, that the demand for this might get astronomical because the supply would be so dwindled. Right now, the supply is massive on so many of these, but it's going to take time for it to dwindle down because of people opening these packs and then no, they no longer can open it. And then people like myself, if they think like creatively, and even yourself, if you're getting into this as well, hoarding it, meaning they might not be available until a certain time, which is an interesting aspect on supply and demand too, on the heavy accumulation, distribution, and the okay, nothing. I'm waiting until I've already accumulated and I'm waiting to distribute. So those stages there. So that part of market well, it's psychology, I guess. It's just a topic, I guess. And within it, I just find this to be a very, very interesting strategy. So I wouldn't mind like take like a closet and just fill up a closet with them, kind of deal. A nice large size closet with these things. And this way, if I buy like thousands of packs or several boxes, I can maybe take a few of them myself when I get bored because that's something I probably would want to do. In fact, I'm even considering doing it now just because or I've been considering just because of the cheaper prices. Or I didn't expect the prices of like the 1992, like 98, like 88 tops and 86 tops and whatever those. I guess the Roger Clemens year was pretty good, or 85 I think was really good. Trying to get those years back in hand. I know the Roger Clemens rookie year was really good, but some of those packs I just remember were like so cool. I'm thinking, man, it's really. I mean, I remember. I'm trying to think. Some of those prices, like even the Donruss, I think the 19 late 80s. Some of those ones. Roberto Alomar's rookie card. That was big because I'm in the Toronto area. That Roberto Alomar rookie card was hot. And those packs were really expensive, and I think they're almost cheaper now than they were back then, which is almost similar to the silver prices. How it's almost like they've been like, um, it's that they're cheaper than they probably should be. And in markets, the prices can go way higher and lower than where their fair value should be. And it's price discovery that's always done within real markets, and that's always whether you know markets have been going on since for 5,000 years and even longer, as far as regular trading psychology and price discovery. Well, basically, yeah, I've already said it. It means prices can be really cheap and really expensive. That's another way of putting it. That's so it's, yeah, another thing. I remember one time, and I thought about this. I mean, I really couldn't make anything on this, but while I was there, it kind of did. When John Olerud was hot, his rookie cards sold between $10 to $12 on the upper deck side of the deal, which was his top one at the time. And the quote unquote Beckett value on it, well, I think it was like $5 or something, $4 or $5 at the time. But it was going up, and his major hitting streak in 1993 really got her going pretty good, probably, as well as his 1992 season was phenomenal as well. And I remember going. Actually, I went to the Cooperstown Hall of Fame that year. Actually, the year, and well, on the way back, and somewhere in New York State, I ended up going to a card shop. Like I said, just drive anywhere you could find them back then, and they were selling John Olerud rookie cards for like $5. I bought a few of them, and I think I'm a bit cheaper. I can't remember. But me and one of my friends at the time was there. But I also knew that it was easy to sell. They were buying them for 7, selling them for 10. I mean, they were just flipping them so fast. So that's your market supply there, and they knew that the people in the local areas that they could buy it at that price because they were flipping them so fast, and they were running out basically because people were just wanting to buy those particular coins cards, and I ended up selling a few of them at that. And I probably should have tried to get better prices, but I just took the 7 on a few of them, kept a few myself. But I can't remember how many I bought. Maybe I might have kept like 2 and sold like 4 or 5 of them, whatever I could get based on what they had. I think we bought all that we could. And in conclusion, going back to James Rolfe and anyone else who's in this, especially 1980s and the 90s nostalgia, that they could be watching video game and not watching, and then we're into cards, and then they get into nostalgia. So what were they into back then? And of course, video games would have been one of them for those people. And then baseball cards or hockey or basketball or football or what have you is another one. And they're like, oh man, I wouldn't mind buying some. And well, now you find the market for them, and so on and so forth. And in conclusion, my favorite asset is that of silver, the real physical silver metal. Based on the picture you see on my icon, it's a Canadian maple leaf, as they call it, which is 1 ounce of fine silver. And to me, I think this is another market that's highly, highly, highly undervalued right now. And you talk about prices where they're way cheap and way expensive. My feeling is that we're going to move right now to where we are as way cheap, which is 17 2/3 of a dollar US to buy an ounce of silver. And when you buy it, it's going to cost you 10, depending on what silver you get, but we'll say at least 10% more for an ounce. And if you want to buy higher quantities, you can get that lowered again, which is like buying kilos and 100 ounces and so on and so forth. So as far as price objections is concerned for where I think this can head up to, I gotta believe even higher than this number here, whatever it's gonna get to it. And as we move into the 20s and maybe even into the 30s as well, to those kind of levels. And of course, at that point, it'd be just way too expensive for it. And well, I believe you buy it when the prices are much lower, and then you sell it when it's much higher, and then you just buy. Well, what do you do with your profits? Well, you buy lots of different things. you reallocate it to other investments, and maybe you buy things in the real world. Maybe you pay off debts, buy a house. Of course, those are nice things to do when you're doing really well. Buying groceries, buying whatever, buying profits from it, doing the things you do, going on a vacation. And I know as far as cryptos, okay, so one of the things I'll be doing is buying baseball and hockey cards and basketball and football. But given my geographical area, hockey cards would work out being the best. And given the Blue Jays were very good from 1985 through 1993, baseball cards would probably come in second. So that would be everything for this video. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I look forward to any comments that you may have. And of course, if you're watching this for the first time, if you have any questions, feel free to pass them along. And I'll reply to every comment in this video. I normally don't do that, actually. It's probably been over a year since I've done that. And have yourself a great day. Bye bye.